Okay. This morning we're honored to have Pastor Zane Strum, thank you, with us to do the invocation from the New Life Church. And we're going to rise in just a moment and have the invocation, the pledge to both the United States and Texas flags. We're glad to have all of you here. I think this is your first time today. Second time. Well, we're glad to have you. We're delighted that you came, and we're glad to have you. Let's rise for the invocation, followed by the pledge to the U.S. and Texas flag. Thank you, Pastor.
Let's pray. Lord Jesus, we thank you for today, God, and we just pray a blessing over this team of men and women. We pray, Lord, that you would give them wisdom and guidance and understanding, Lord, in accomplishing all the business that they have set out before them, Lord. And we just pray a blessing over our county and our city, that it would prosper and be blessed. In the name of Jesus, we pray. Amen.
Amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to Texas, one state under God, one indivisible. Thank you, Pastor. Thank you for coming.
That was ahead of us out there.
Judge, can I ask a quick question before you get started?
Sure.
We received some information on one of the appointments that we have later on down the agenda, and I would like to ask that we share that with one of our potential appointees, because I'm not sure how I'm going to go on this yet, and I want to make sure that this person knows what potentially could happen if she accepts this position.
Well, I just talked to the lawyer here, and she said since she's not running for office, there is no risk.
Okay, is that right?
It's a policy decision for her, but obviously that is the risk. And if she's not running, then the risk is gone.
Well, no, but
that's a decision for her to make. So.
Right. But I mean, what this says is
Resign over there.
that as soon as you take the new position, you have to resign from the current. Is that still your position?
It still is. If she's still serving a term.
Okay, so she would have to resign. And that's what I want to make sure she understands.
She'll have to make that decision.
Right, but your advisory doesn't seem to have anything to do with whether they're running or not running.
That would be the risk for the future, because it depends when she takes the position at the hospital district board. So it's a timing issue, and but the bottom line, the ultimate thing is it's her policy decision.
Well, I just need to know, I need to make sure that she wants to keep her application, and knowing that if she accepts this and if she's sworn in, that she's quite automatically disqualified as a member of the city council. So I just want to make sure she knows that, and so I think she's here, or was here.
And I think when we discuss this, if we're going to do it now, that's fine. But, Judge, I'm going to ask, because I see some risk on both of those candidates. If they're going to use that risk against her, there's some conflicts that I see against John Valls that I believe this court has overlooked. So I'm asking today that out of courtesy to me, because out of courtesy to Mr. Chesney, we put this back. So I'm asking to take this off the table for 90 days and come back so we can assess both of these people by their merits.
I don't mind tabling it for time. Y'all did it when I was sick, and I don't mind doing that. I just want to make sure that the applicant has an opportunity to review this, because it's a pretty significant opinion that says if she takes the spot, then she's got to quit the city council, and that's a big deal.
So can I make that motion?
Yes.
Judge, you said the last meeting that we were going to vote on this item regardless.
Out of courtesy, you did it for Brent. Are you just doing it for Brent because he's a man? Is that the reason?
We were going to vote on this item. Now, I understand if there's issues that come up, but just wanted to remind the court that was your statement, that we were going to vote on this item no matter what.
Well, you can change things if circumstances are changed, and the circumstances have changed. We have two good candidates, so why don't what's the fear in waiting and voting on them for their merits?
I would.
I don't think we question any kind of marriage here. I don't think. I mean, I think they both got good marriage.
But they're saying there's conflicts.
Well, when does this terminate? When does this position terminate? I mean, this appointment.
They're already holding over.
So so now we're going to make something new here, that we're going to extend the 90 days because we want somebody in there.
No, I'm not saying 90. I'm saying we ought to do it to the next meeting or something. I'm just saying, I think the person who's applied ought to have some time. I think 90 days is too long, but I think the person should have some time to go review this and see if she agrees with this opinion and is willing to take the risk, because we just got this yesterday.
Can we talk to her? She's in the audience. Would you like to talk? Judge, can I do that?
Now, let's if there's a motion to table, let's entertain the motion to table.
Can I enter the motion, we table the next meeting?
My motion is to table it for 90 days. I don't see what impact that's going to have on that board. There are 8 other people. I don't know what impact it would have when you have 8 other people, unless you guys just don't want to do it because you want your candidate.
No, that's not it. I think it's the other way around.
I think that is it.
No, I don't think. I think it's the other way around, Commissioner, because here we've got a thin line here that we're doing. We, if something doesn't go the way we want it, now we're going to extend everything. And this is not the way it was done before. It hasn't been done this way.
Well, here's
I understand what Commissioner Chesney is saying. And it should come from the candidate herself and what she wants to do, whether she wants to run or not run, or she's running or not running. And she accepts the position, and she has to resign the other position. It's very clear that the law says that. So.
Okay, so does he get to stay on the 2 boards that he's on, even though it's not elected, but it is definitely a conflict because he is the chairman of the appraisal district, where the hospital district is a taxing entity too.
Appointed boards, the law says elected positions, that both make decisions for taxation, and that's what it's all about, really, when you make decisions for both entities. So.
Well, the city council doesn't do any business with the hospital board.
all I'm trying to do, because I'm trying to figure out how to vote, is to either get Ms. Lindsay Opal to say, if this is what it is, then I'm good with being qualified and knowing I may have to resign from council, or if she wants more time, a little bit, I don't support 90 days. I would support to the next meeting to where she can go and research this and find out what it is and give her time. This was something that just came up yesterday, and I don't think it's fair to throw it on someone and not give them a little time to react. And I can't remember if I asked for I know I asked for the one on Vols. I don't know if I asked for this one too. I don't know. So, because I'm conflicted on this, and so I'm trying to make the best decision based on all the evidence. And all I'm saying is, if she reads this and says, you know what, if I have to resign, I'll resign, then I can vote today. If she says, you know what, give me a little more time, let me go check with my lawyers and make sure this is right, then I'm willing to give a little more time, because I think that's only fair. I don't think we need to do 90 days. I think we can do it by the next meeting, just like we did for the last meeting. So I would support a motion to either table it till the next meeting and let Ms. Lindsay Opal go see what she thinks about this, or let her tell me that she...
Do we have an amended motion to that effect?
I make a motion, we table it till the next meeting.
All right.
And get another opinion.
All right.
I would second that motion.
All right, fine. Any other questions? All in favor?
Just discussion, like I said, Judge, last meeting you said...
John, a motion to table is a vote.
We were going to vote on the appointment, is what you said.
We are. We've had a motion to table that vote.
You said we were going to vote on the motion no matter if people were missing from this court or not, that we were going to vote because we had already delayed twice.
John, I don't know when you got the opinion of the county attorney. I got it this morning at 8:30.
I understand. I'm just saying.
Well, I'm not going to vote on something that I get an opinion at 30 minutes before the court that says something contrary to what I thought we had, and I support the motion to table, and so
How many opinions given out?
I got mine this morning at 8:30.
Weren't they given out?
We provided it yesterday, late yesterday.
So first time I read this was this morning when I came to work.
I'm just trying to be fair to...
Next meeting be fine with me.
What's that?
Next meeting, I guess, would be...
Okay. I'm just trying to be fair to both applicants. I really am. So
Good point. It's a good point.
That's...
We've had the discussion. We have a motion to table and second.
But the only thing that bothers me is that, when we have an issue like that, we're going to be extending. Everybody's going to want to extend it for the next meeting because we want some more information. We want some clarification. That's why I asked when the time was up. This thing is already being...
Well, I want some clarification because you can have 2 lawyers with 2 different opinions.
But this is the lawyer that matters.
Well, I know that matters to you, and her opinion matters. But if there is another opinion, it does not hurt to get another opinion. What are you guys afraid of by tabling it for 1 week?
Well, hold on.
I'm not saying I won't vote for Debbie right now, but I may not.
Well, we know that's not going to happen. So I'm just saying that you guys, I know that's not going to happen, guys. It's a good old boys club. It's not going to happen.
That's very easy to say.
We have a motion on the floor to table and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed?
No.
When did you vote?
I voted aye. Yes.
Motion passes. Next meeting. Thank you. All right, that saves us some trouble and gets us into more trouble. All right, today is October the 3rd. We're meeting in the Nueces County Commissioners Courtroom. We have a quorum. All members of the court are present. I'd like to certify that we have a quorum. We started the meeting about 5 after 10. Any public comment? Thank you. Public comment is reserved for items not on the agenda. Elsa? Thank you.
Yes, sir. I have a short letter that I wanted to share with the court this morning. I'm sorry. I would like to inform you that I will be retiring from Nueces County as a purchasing agent effective November 30th, 2018. Thank you for the numerous opportunities that you have provided me over the 25 years. I have enjoyed working for the Nueces County in the HR department, being appointed as HR director, and lastly, being appointed as purchasing agent. I'm really sorry I had.
All right, take your time. Everybody else time.
It is rare that an individual gets to have two distinct careers with the same organization. I wish to express my heartfelt gratitude for the many opportunities and support from all the individuals that have been part of Commissioner's Court throughout my tenure. It has been an enriching and helpful experience to work for the county for such a long time. I have grown personally and professionally. I have spent the majority of my career here and am fortunate to have worked with so many talented and wonderful colleagues over the years. I have given the county my best over the years, and I am proud of my accomplishments. I didn't think it would be so hard. I have genuinely enjoyed my employment and will miss being part of the purchasing team, as well as my mentor, colleagues, and coworkers when my retirement day comes. I trust that the friendships I have developed here and will last well into the future. Working here has been such a wonderful experience, and I will cherish the memories. If I can be of any help during the transitional time, please let me know. Thank you again, and I wish all the best. Respectfully.
All right, now, hold on.
Yes, sir.
I know this is public comment, and I'd like to ask my learned counsel, if she doesn't want to hear what I'm going to say, you can leave. But Elsa does not report to this court. She reports to a separate board, constitutional board. And I'm going to have to ask her, have you submitted your resignation to the board?
Yes, sir.
To the chair?
Yes, sir.
Okay, you've done that.
Yes, sir.
And when did you do that?
This morning.
This morning, okay. That's my only thing. I want to make sure everybody knows she doesn't work for me or the court. She works for a separate constitutional board. So as long as you've done that, then the board chair, I think, is Judge Hassett. Is that correct?
Right now, yes, sir.
All right. So, Counselor, I'm sorry about this, and I'm not trying to be ugly, but we are dependent now upon the purchasing board to begin the process, not this court.
That's correct.
So you have informed us as a courtesy, and we appreciate that.
Yes, sir.
So we'll await the meeting, and I serve on that along with Do you serve on that as well? I
Yes,
know I do.
Commissioner
I think there are
Gonzalez.
two of us.
Yes, sir.
We'll await the call of the chair of the purchasing board, who will begin the process of selecting a replacement. And I will tell you, we'll miss you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor, for letting me say that, because I wanted to make sure everybody understood while she is telling us this, we do not make the selection.
Judge, can I just make public comment?
Yeah.
Please. And so in regards to public comment, not asking questions, I don't know where this came from or what this is all about, but I would recommend that we tell the purchasing board to not accept her resignation and just make her stay. But since I can't ask questions and I don't know what this is about, in the vein of public comment, let me just say I'm very disappointed in this, and I certainly hope it's because this is something you wanted to do, and I'm not asking for a response because I don't want to get in trouble, but if there's any way we can legitimately make a recommendation to the purchasing board to not accept the resignation, and I would do that, because I think Elsa has been a phenomenal purchasing agent and has done a great job for this county, and I don't support this resignation, so I don't know what I can do about it, but for the record, I want to make sure and say that.
I told her I don't want this.
Yeah, this is very just disappointing. So, and I don't mean to say that you've got to do what you've got to do, but I in the vein of public comment, I think this is a very huge and significant loss for Nueces County, and if there was any way that this could change, I would sure prefer it. So that's my public comment, to not
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner.
engage. Yes, ma'am.
James Parker?
I second the motion. I second the motion.
All right, your agenda item 3. All right, very good. Anyone else? Any other public comment? See none. Consent agenda items are items that will be voted on by one vote of members of the court, unless a member of the public or a member of the court asks that item be pulled and discussed and voted on individually. I'll now call for public comment on consent agenda items 3A through 3N. 3A through 3N. Any public comment on items 3A through 3N? Any Commissioners Court comments on items 3A through 3N? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
I have a second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed, same sign. Thank you. We've now approved the consent agenda. We'll now go to the regular agenda items. Elsa, you're on.
All right. We received a protest on the award for IFB number 3082, 18 solid waste collections and disposal services for the dumpsters for county properties only. This has to do with just the dumpsters for county properties. The award was made on September 5th, and at that time there was some discussion on the 40 cubic yard dumpster that was to be self-contained. The protest was provided or presented by Frontier Waste, and they are here. They're present to talk about what the protest is about. And I provided a packet on Monday afternoon with the protest information in it, and also some information from the company that was awarded the contract, which is CC Disposal. Did everyone get that packet?
Thank you.
Okay. All right. So I'll turn it over to the Frontier Waste.
Good morning, everybody. Matt Ekstrom,
Morning.
Frontier Waste. I'll be brief because I know y'all have heard more about trash than you want to for the past month. So the premise of this protest is on September 5th, and I brought some visual aids here. On September 5th, CC Disposal and myself, we bid this contract. On line item 20 of the bid, it stated that the 40-yard needed to be a self-contained compactor. And I know that probably doesn't mean much to people outside the trash industry. I don't expect it to mean much to you guys. But per the bid specs, we bid it exactly like it was asked. I had communication with Elsa just to confirm before the time to make sure it was a self-contained compactor. And the reason for a self-contained compactor is just the sheer fact of the liquid waste. So the way my competitor bid it, the way the awardee bid it, was a stationary compacting unit. And I know this doesn't mean much, but it's a two-part unit. You have the compacting unit here, and you have a opened end here where the crusher goes in and compacts the waste. So what essentially happens when they go to pick that up is you have an opening in the back of the compactor. So when you go to lift it up, any form of wet waste, any form of food waste, any form of grime and dirt and stuff like you get from the cafeteria at the jail, or anything like that would leach out from the opening. So the way y'all requested this to be bid is a self-contained compactor. And a self-contained compactor is a completely different unit. It has a seal in the back and a door in the back, so the waste is completely, like it sounds, self-contained on itself. And I bid that per the spec sheet. That's why I more than likely came in a little bit higher. So this is your current setup right now. You currently have a self-contained compactor right now. It's a 35-yard self-contained, what you have down here behind purchasing in the maintenance department. And as you can see right here, there has been a little bit of leaching, which is to be expected with a compactor that's 4 or 5 years old. But one interesting fact when I went to go look at it, and this is what spurred my email conversation with Elsa prior to the bid, was the storm drains. You have storm drains all in there. So a non-self-contained unit would be an absolute nightmare for stormwater mitigation. Not only for you, the city, not only for the trash hauler hauling it down the road, leaching stuff from here to Cefe Valenzuela landfill. And so basically that's my premise. Premise of the protest is, and like I said, I'll be brief, is we bid it to spec. The spec was a 40-yard self-contained unit. That's something that does require a special build. I know I look young, but I've been in the compactor business for 30 years with my dad. Every time I'd get in trouble, I was out working on compactors, which was a lot. So that's the premise of it, is to provide you guys a service that you spec'd out, and to not affect the environment, you need a self-contained unit back there, bar none. You have to, or it's going to be an absolute fiasco for you guys and the trash hauler. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Yes, we did bid a 40 cubic yard self-contained container. After the bid was reviewed and opened and awarded, Public Works went out and checked to see about that compactor. The 40 cubic yard, if we were to get one built and delivered, there is not enough space back there to have it picked up with the truck, the type of truck that it requires to safely move that compactor around. So that compactor will not fit, and we should bid that item, if not all, again, in order to get a quote on a compactor that will fit that space and be usable in that space.
Can I ask a procedural question? I've never had one of these, so what they obviously met their guidelines on protesting properly, and so we then now are acting as an appellate type board, Laura, or what?
You just receive their complaint, basically, and make a determination whether or not you want to rescind the prior order or not. But the problem here is that it needs to be rebid again because of the specs were not properly correct for the county's needs.
So in other words, basically what we're saying is that
We reject.
we need to then reject the whole thing?
But can we just bid, can we keep all of it except for that portion of that compactor and just bid that one out?
No,
One bid.
it's the entire,
You
you
have
bid
to
it out as the entire county.
Oh, you can't separate it and
No.
bid separate for that?
So because the specs were wrong, he was at a disadvantage, and because the specs were wrong, it isn't appropriate
award to anybody.
To anybody because
We want the 40
we
cubic.
don't want, okay. So so is y'all's recommendation is that we rescind this and rebid it?
Yes.
Reject.
So did we not know on the specs? I mean, so we originally thought that was the best size, and then we come to realize that it wasn't? Is that what happened, or?
We came to realize that it wasn't usable in that space. Up till this bid cycle, we had bid a 35 self-contained container. When the cycle was released, there was input on that container being a 40 cubic yard. So that's why it was changed to a 40 cubic yard. And it just, there was, I suppose there wasn't any review as to whether that container would fit, what it would take, did we have enough space before those specs were changed.
So whose responsibility would have been, Elsa, to do that? Because obviously, from what they're saying, neither one of them had this, the self-contained. So what difference does it make if neither one of them had it?
Because you got to bid it fairly.
Yeah, and I understand that, but I mean, specs were wrong. I'm trying to figure out why we put them in there. Obviously, you didn't know,
Correct.
and they both looked at it.
Correct.
So when you bid it out, what are you going to bid it for?
35, what we have now. We'll be requesting a 35 cubic yard. So
And we can't just bid for that one thing. We can't.
That's what I was asking. I thought,
Gosh, that would be so much simpler. Are you sure?
So who developed the specs? I'm not trying to throw anybody under the bus here, but who developed those specs in the first place?
the information came from Public Works, and it's prior to the individuals that we have there.
Okay, so this is an old spec based on probably previous bidding?
It was an old specs with the 35 cubic yard that was noted on there. It was forwarded over to the department, requested for any updates that needed to be done on any of the buildings, and when we received the specs back, they came back with a 40 cubic yard.
Okay.
And so that's what I put out.
Right.
Because that's what I...
Sir, you have anything else?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Good morning, Your Honor. Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning.
My name is Vic Medina. I do business development for CC Disposal. You've heard most all the facts this morning. There were, on the September 5th meeting, there was questions raised about item 20 on the bid sheet. They were sufficiently to the result were answered by you, or were answered by the staff, rather. So, as a result of that, a motion and second and a vote of 5-0 to award the contract to our company was made. And I believe just as a while ago that when you retracted the vote for the hospital district, the court has the power to do anything they want to, in my view, in my humble view. I'm not an expert in commissioners' courts, but some background I think that you received in the email that I sent to the purchasing department was the waste container manufacturer by the name of WasteQuip does not make a 40-yard self-contained compactor. As Ms. Vaughn pointed out, what's the point? And will not make one specially for anyone. The largest they make is a 38-yarder, but due to the length and width of that 38-yarder is limited to dry material only. And as you know, the compactor there that in place is now handles a lot of wet garbage. And it would be a disaster to put a 40-yard stationary compactor in there because it's not self-contained. It would leak. It would the stench and the garbage in that yard in there between the jail and the courthouse would be horrific. So, and we would not arbitrarily place a 40-yard container in there without your permission. So, and we have a 35-yarder in there now that is sufficient, has a capacity to hold all the trash and garbage that the courthouse and the jail generates. 35 is safely carried. That is what's recommended by the manufacturer. A 38-yarder or a 40-yarder, if you go down there, and we've had the contract since 2013. A 35-yard is sufficient. Our record of tonnage for that 35-yard right now is between 6.5 and 7 tons per haul. That is plenty safe to carry. You put a 38-yard in there or a 40, now you need a semi-truck to carry a 40, and now the 38-yarder, they don't recommend it because our rails on that roll-off truck are only 22 foot long. If you put a 38-yarder in there, it's going to hang off the back end. The weight of the wet garbage, very dangerous for our trucks to carry, our driver, and of course the safety of the public. Presenting serious safety problems. The thing that on the item bid, when with all due respect to our competitor, when they say that because of that reason they bid a little higher, if you recalculate the bid sheet and you throw out item 20, we still are the lowest bidder. Just for your information. Again, the area down there is not conducive for safely maneuvering a larger truck, and it is our assertion that the Nueces County Courthouse continue to use the current 35-yard self-contained compactor. The compaction rate is clearly sufficient on that 35-yarder, and it's safe. This is a safe load for our roll-off trucks. I don't have anything further to add unless you have any questions.
Very good, thank you.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Promise, I'll be done with trash. I'll be done with it. Matt Ekstrom again, Frontier Waste. I provided bid specs for a 40 cubic yard self-contained compactor from Roll-Offs USA, major competitor of Waste Quip. Oddly enough, my dad's a sales guy over there. They have 40-yard self-contained units at the Lucky Eagle Casino in Del Rio, Choctaw in Durant, Oklahoma. It's definitely doable. And it's definitely doable with a regular truck down in that area. The waste y'all produce, like I was saying, you definitely need self-contained, and we can build it, and we bid it to spec. And I provided the specs to Elsa in my bid. Thank you.
Thank you. Elsa, or Laura, are we at the point now where we just have to reject this and start over?
That's the recommendation.
All right, that's a recommendation. I need a motion to that effect.
I'll make that motion, but I really would appreciate to make sure that Juan meets with, if we figure the spec out, because, he's saying it is possible. Someone says it isn't possible. Juan's, I don't know if it is or it isn't, but please, whatever we need to do.
The space is there.
Yeah, if the space is there and we need to.
We did ask Public Works or our director to look at it and go and evaluate to see if in fact it was doable. And according to our engineer, it's not.
Okay, so if that's the case, then I'm going with our engineer. Just write the specs to what our engineer says, but let's make sure we got the right specs. So that's my motion, is based on the fact that the specs.
All right, let's see what he's got to say.
Good morning, Judge, Commissioners. Judge, again, I would probably recommend to rebid the project with the 35-yard container. The space that's there, you will have some issues regarding bringing in bigger trucks, and so I would recommend going back to a 35-yard container.
All right, very good.
Closing comment, please. Just closing comment.
I think I made a motion that needs a second before it dies, Judge, but whatever you want to do. Okay, thanks.
Just a closing comment that we were awarded bid on a 5-0 vote. It would be unfair to rebid it again. It would be more fair to throw out the item 20 and rebid the compactor by itself.
Well, we'll do whatever the county attorney tells me to do. We have a motion and a second?
I have a question.
Yes.
Laura, can you just tell me why we can't bid it by itself? Because if my memory serves me right, Elsa, when they came up before us, both of them, we knew that it wasn't going to fit. They both said they would have to build one, is my understanding. So we knew back then, so it just seems so silly to me to go back and do this. If they both knew, to me, that was the time to protest. Can you tell me what precedent tells us we can only
Basically, what they bid it at was at the 40 cubic feet, and
Okay.
that's not what we need. and that's not a doable thing, so you're going back to 35. So the bid is not with the same specs. So you have to have the correct specs. And it has to be fair to all the competitors to make sure that they're all voting on the same plane.
And I do remember they did raise the concern then, and I don't know why we blew through it. I don't remember. I just remember there was a lot of discussion about trash that day, and so honestly, I think we blew through it when maybe we shouldn't have blown through it, because I think the concern was raised that it was a spec issue then, and so I'm a process guy. I don't care who gets this bid. I really don't, as long as they know what they're doing and they're good. So that's the only reason I'm making the motion, because the county attorney's telling us that we have to rebid the whole thing, because I'm with you. It would be more practical just to dump one item out, but if she's advising us that way, then that's the only reason I'm making the motion.
We don't always do what the county attorney tells us, right?
Well, I try to most of the time.
All right.
I don't have any contradicting
So
evidence
our
that says
motion
she's
and
wrong.
Second is to reject the bids and reopen the process. Is that right? Is that what we're doing?
Yes, sir.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, pose same sign. Thank you all. Did I get 3 ayes?
Yes, sir.
Did I get 3 ayes?
You did.
Okay, thank you. Motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Number 3, Commissioner Vaughn. I'm sorry, number 2, I want to hold number 2 until after we do the closed session. I promise you we'll come back to number 2 after the closed session. Number 3, do I table that to be official?
No,
Just come back to it. Okay, I'll come back to 2. Commissioner Vaughn, number 3.
Okay, we have a presentation.
Yay.
Oh, boy. Hello, Edward.
Hello, Judge. Good morning.
Good morning.
Here we come to save the day.
Trying to make sure. Well, Judge, we got together with Commissioner Vaughn. She's brand new, but she was out there fighting with like the other commissioners, going out there. We were going through flood and water, and she said, Edward, do you really want to go through that? And I said, yes, Commissioner, we're going to do it. And she's over there holding on, and we're just driving through the water. So that got her thinking, and we put this little...
Edward, I actually heard the story that you carried her on your back. Is that not the right? It's like a fish story. It keeps getting bigger and bigger, right?
It does, Commissioner. Next time it's going to be you. So.
Yeah. If you can carry me, that's a big load.
So we
Very big.
put this together ad hoc. This is the group, Commissioner Judge, that is your team, that we've gone through storms together, and historically we know and we've seen and we've done. Christopher's a good man. He's our EOC guy. Anytime that I need any backup or anything, he's the man to go to. Roxanne, she's grants. Ideas. As soon as we have something, can we do this? Can we do that? Especially with FEMA, she's there. Juan, our newest member of the team, he likes to hide in the corners for some reason. But he'll tell us, no, that's right, or if you really want to word it, you need to word it this way to, really make an impact and to show that everything doesn't really. There's a word there that causation is not necessarily what you see is not necessarily what causes what the end results are. So with that, feel free to jump in. Commissioner said, just roll through with what we got. So historically, Nueces County is a low county. It's kind of like the crossing point. We get water from Jim Wells, we get water from San Patricio County, and everything comes through here and it goes through different watersheds. We've had additional growth and construction in the rural areas and throughout, as commissioners know that there's colonias out there and people are still building there. A lot of the water sheet flows through the county because it's so flat. So it just continuously comes through the county as we saw these last few days. Stagnant water, Commissioner Jagg's been working on this problem, has been a big problem because we're mostly rural, agrarian, so we have a lot of septic tanks. So all this water that holds up ends up on the ground, soaking into the ground, and we end up with problems with our septic tanks. We have an existing master drainage plan, and I saw John Michael over here, and he did a wonderful job on this plan, but it's 9 years old. It needs to be looked at, and we need to adjust for all these new things that have been happening, and areas where, we need to really consider.
Sorry.
Here's an example of all the watersheds that come into Nueces County. I think there's about 8 of them right there. The most we deal with is Petronila and the Oso watersheds. Those are our biggest areas where most of our problems come from.
We talking rainfalls now? Or,
yeah.
Okay, so y'all have seen this before. We actually have copies here if you'd like to look at it in a little bit more detail. This is the 8th wettest September on record. Would you mind? But that's a little deceptive in that the official record is kept at the National Weather Service office, which is at the Corpus Christi Airport. And so that's the official. When you actually look at what we've received across the county, it's much more significant. If you're interested, Beulah was our top for 1967 when we got 20.33 inches officially for the county. So it has been very significant, and there's been portions of our county, specifically around Petronella, and then as you go further to the east, that's where most of the rainfall occurred. But there's impacts that are felt across the entire county. So 8th officially wettest September, but at the same time, it kind of depends where you're at in the county.
To that end, we don't have all the pictures, because if we had pictures, we'd be here for days. What we concentrated on in this presentation is the areas that were hit by this time frame during this storm. So Commissioner Mares' Agua Dulce, where there's 18 inches of water, isn't in this slides, and some of the other slides where there was a lot of inundation throughout. But it's understood, and we can include that as well. But the slides are not here. This is Westlake. This is an area that was hit hard. This is the northwest portion of the county. The streets are inundated, and we had just a main shower coming through. This is North Beach during that same time period. This is one, if you could. This is FM 666. These are new improvements that were made to the FM. They came through, they lifted up the road, they put in all these new drainage culverts and stuff, and Commissioner Vaughn is getting some.
Juan, can you explain that? That was TxDOT that did this right here.
That's correct, Commissioner. That's on FM 666. They did the new drainage structures that are crossing the roadway. You do have some SETs that are detaining some of the water coming in and out. So,
and what did that cause for that neighborhood there? What happened when they did that?
Well, if you don't have the capacity from one end of the drainage structure, you do have the hydraulically, it'll back up into the neighborhoods on the upstream side.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm. So we have those types of situations, and then there's some other types of situations that we have. This is our County Road Ditch 69, and essentially what we wanted to show here is that whole area, if we go a little bit further, drains into the same location where Commissioner Mares' water through Robstown drains through. But in this case, that drainage area has to go through all this brush. That brush it's been cleaned out before. I think Commissioner Pusley did it back at one time, but it's now a ditch that's kind of like in no man's land. To the south, there's the drainage district. The city of Robstown covers that area, but it's in the county, but it's not really owned by anybody. These are some of the examples of where that water flows through and what we're looking at. Again, 69, this is just this last rain. This is right there at that corner between 69 and 77 corner near Bower Road there, Commissioner.
And what they don't show on that road right there is turf coat. It's grass form out there, where after this last rainfall, they lost $500,000 because it flooded and set in the fields.
This is actually our Ortiz County Park. This was a day after the rain. It's essentially a lake. It's interesting that one of Juan's guys came to me the next day. He says, yeah, that lake of y'all's, can we go fishing? I said, why? Well, water came up, But the little fish didn't make it back to the pond, so we had all these fish along the ditch line. They were wondering, well, since they're there, can we go fish? So this is that same 73 going through there. This is actually Tierra Grande, Commissioner Jack's area over there. You can see where, again, Juan's people have put the lats on the side so that you can determine which sides they are. This is Tierra Oriente at the time. Neighborhood house. And this is just an aerial view of the way that the water sheet drains through there. This is over here, Juan was, some areas where this is FM 43 and 33, that there is a problem or a possible problem that could occur. These are the drainage district boundary maps. This is where each of the drainage districts, their areas. And they don't encompass the whole county, so there's whatever solutions we make or have are not going to be covered by all.
And how are those folks funded exactly?
They have a tax, an ad valorem tax.
And they're just taxed in those particular areas?
Correct, yes, sir.
And so they have drainage commissioners, I guess, that are elected or appointed or whatever they are, elected, and they figure out where they're going to spend the money they have for drainage in those areas.
Correct.
And tell me where's the cutoff on 2? I can't, this map's too small, it doesn't give me streets or anything, so I'm trying to kind of get an idea. I can't really. You can tell me where all of them are. I just can't really read these.
The blue outline, it's kind of like in a low shadow blue. That's drainage area drainage district number 2. It has like a blue boundary line, and then you also have drainage district number 1, which is in yellow.
Right, but what I can't see street names or.
Oh, okay.
Is any of this in my precinct? I can't tell. It doesn't look like it.
Yes, sir. We can get a better copy of the map and.
No.
I don't think none of this is.
Okay. I mean, I got some flooding issues in my precinct too, but I just don't think it's covered by drainage district. No.
Mine's not either.
Right. No, I know. Right. Okay. That's fine. Thank you.
You're up.
Okay, so that was dire news that y'all already knew about. And so the bright side is that whenever there's flooding events, FEMA will come in, or Texas Department of Emergency Management will come in and have funds that we can apply for to mitigate these type of problems. Currently, under the Harvey disaster, we have 7. Really, it's between 7 and 9 ponds that we actually have permission to apply for, because we have to ask permission first before they say, okay, you have an eligible project. So we threw things together really quickly. We're working on the applications right now to Texas Department of Emergency Management, TDEM, through their HMGP, which is the Hazard Mitigation Grant Program. The next slide, where are we? The next slide, I'm not sure if y'all can see that really well, but that is where all the ponds that are listed are in roundabout areas. We don't have exact locations yet, obviously, because we haven't gone that far. The grant applications do come with a 25% match that can be matched with other grant funds that are out there, and I'll tell you all about those next. But these are just roundabout areas. There's areas in every precinct of this county, and a lot of them are not within a drainage district. Probable funding sources. We are also, obviously, we're right now working with FEMA and TDEM on their grant application process. The Department of Agriculture is going to have something open pretty soon for infrastructure. Texas General Land Office will have something under disaster. Texas Water Development Board, we all know that comes with a little loan or a forgivable loan, but they do have flood protection grants. And U.S. Army Corps of Engineers supposedly has a whole lot of money right now. A lot of projects that are in the pipeline right now already for them. However, I think it would behoove the county to try to tap into those funds as well. With that bright side, there's also some challenges. We all know with grants, they're not guaranteed, and of course, there's challenges with different grants and different funding sources. There's different requirements for every grant. They may require a specific flooding event. For Harvey, ours was more of a wind event, but we did have flooding. But we did have a flood event in 2015 that we are still working on FEMA with. So we know that there's problems here. We do have to do benefit cost analysis on every project that we do with FEMA and through TDEM, and so there's some challenges. We think we know where it can go, and we think it affects the entire county, but they might not. That might not be what comes out in the benefit cost analysis, and that's just a downfall. Some grants require low to moderate income areas only, and so those are some challenges that we're working through also with the COG and with our state. Maintenance and in perpetuity. If we want to build ponds and a pond system through the county, we will have to maintain them in perpetuity if they are not in a drainage district. So that is an added cost for the county as well. So that's a little speed bump. And then, of course, lack of hydrology studies. TDEM has let us know that what they're seeing with a lot of the drainage projects is that there's a lack of true hydrology or recent hydrology studies. So we can actually apply for hydrology studies within these grant applications, and we can phase it out. So there's options, and that's what I just wanted to present to y'all, that there's many options out there.
As Roxy says, these things, we are working on them, Judge. We are trying to do what we can do with the limited resources that we have and the commissioner's approval in their precincts. So at this point, I'd like to kick it over to Commissioner Vaughn. She would want to...
First off, I want to thank you guys for throwing this together so quickly. And I know that one of the reasons you did it is because you deal with this every day, and you want it fixed just like I do. The reason I brought this up is because most of my calls are on drainage and flooding. When I was on the council, they had the same problem, and we have it all over this county. I am so tired of watching TV and watching mothers carrying their kids through 18 inches of rain. I mean, this is ridiculous. It should not be like this. And I think what's happening is we are working against each other. 666 is a prime example. TxDOT went out and built a beautiful road. Before they built that road, the subdivisions were not flooding. They're flooding now. So had we gotten together, the groups that needed to be, I believe they could have alleviated that. And that did not happen. And I know that all these commissioners have worked very hard in their areas, and some are worse than others. But due to the flooding and what's gone on, the Harvey 2015 flooding, I think is what it was, when it was in this last rainfall, I think now it's time for this court to act and start doing something so the public sees that we are on this. I know that I believe it was 2009, the judge led an effort, and he had a kind of like a task force and had all the groups that needed to be together. So what I'm asking today is I think we all need to be involved, and we have the judge for maybe three more months. I think we need to use his expertise, his history. I mean, he's got files thick that I've been going through that he has done. He knows what he's doing. That would help us. That way we'll be at least a little forward with when a new judge comes in and takes over whatever, at least we'll be on the road to doing something. So I think there's power in numbers. I've talked to two different cities about this. They're on board. They want to do it. They realize we need to do something as a group. And I think we can maybe get more money if we are together. Roxy, is that true? Does that help if you have power numbers? Tell me that's true.
Please tell us.
It is true, power in numbers. Usually when you go in a grant app by yourself, obviously, I mean, you can score well. But when you have a combined effort, a regional effort, or an area effort with all the support from the entities that are within your jurisdiction, and it's a multi-jurisdictional effort, obviously you score well. Very much
Thank you. And it's costing us more money, just like TxDOT doing what they did on 624. It's costing us more money because someone's going to have to go back and redo something so that the flooding into Westlake stops, same as 666. So if we can all get together and communicate, and I think we're not really good at that in this county. Not talking about us, but overall. So what I'm asking today, Judge, I don't know how you did it back then, but I am just asking, can we sit down and let's figure out a way where we can move something forward so that this county, this city sees that we are trying to do something about the drainage issues. We've got them all over. And for economic development, we don't, just like North Beach, they're getting ready to build some multifamily homes over there. They've got a problem with flooding over there. And if you can get those built, you will have a domino effect where more people will come in, that means more taxes for us. But we need to address the problems all over the county. I'd like to hear from the other commissioners. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Commissioner. John, could you come up just a minute, please? John Michaels, please. Glad to see you here this morning. You were in defilade, I saw you. Seriously, John was the grandfather of the study back 9-10 years ago, and it was a great study. And what we continue to run into, perhaps we can move past now with some more forward-thinking people. But John, I think one of the things with the retention ponds, I'm assuming, and I could be wrong, I'm assuming that this is going to take some type of eminent domain action to put retention plans about ponds across this county. And how do we do that? If that's one of the requirements, and when I did this before with you 10 years ago, the first time I mentioned eminent domain, I lost my lunch, my supper, and my car was tagged. So
I was standing next to you.
Yes, you were. But I'm being serious. This is a huge issue. And the retention pond is an answer in every county in the state of Texas except ours. So can you help me a little bit with that?
Well, a couple observations, just kind of sitting there. In the 38 years I've been doing this, I've done 3 master plans for Nueces County for drainage.
Yeah.
And they always end up in the same place.
The shelf.
Over there in the corner on the shelf somewhere.
Right.
It's not because the court hasn't wanted to do anything. It's we didn't have a mechanism in which to fund the implementation of those plans.
Right.
Which is where it always falls short.
Right.
At some point, as we begin to continue to urbanize this county, and it's happening, Edward showed some great pictures. Been there, seen them all.
Yeah.
Tierra Grande floods every time it rains. Always has. It was built in a hole. It's an easy one to solve. It just takes money. Nueces County is the only urbanized coastal county in the state of Texas that does not have a countywide drainage district. And Judge, you and I, we traveled the road together trying to convince people in this county that was something that's worthy that we need to consider. And drainage is tough. Flood control is tough. It's all about timing. When you're in the middle of a 4-year or 5-year drought, nobody wants to talk about paying for drainage. When you've had a flood, everybody wants to talk about paying for drainage. Harris County is a great example. They just floated they brought to their voters a $2 billion flood control plan. It passed almost 80% with the voters. It was all about timing. They've had 3 floods in 3 years, and they finally threw their hands up and said, we got to do something.
Right.
San Patricio County right now, they have a countywide drainage district. It's been very, very effective. Probably the most effective government entity I work with. They're just all they do all day long is drainage and flood control. They don't have to worry about police, fire, other things. They focus on drainage. That board is appointed by the Commissioner's Court. They just submitted a grant application to FEMA for a little over $25 million, having to do with the impacts from Harvey. They work on a countywide basis, so it's not, watersheds don't respect political boundaries, and that's why countywide drainage districts work so well. It's because you look at things in a comprehensive manner. You mentioned detention ponds. If you go back to those old drainage studies, they all have detention ponds in them. Mm-hmm. But unless you go about that in a very comprehensive manner, it's going to be difficult. And eminent domain may be part of the discussion when you get to that. I can tell you in San Patricio County, they have never had to purchase a drainage easement since their inception in 1974. They've always been able to work with the landowners, the farmers, the developers to show them the benefits to them by coming in and doing those improvements, and that's worked pretty well. As that county continues to urbanize and develop industrially, it's going to be a little more difficult, but I really think it may be time that we go back to the voters of this county and say, we need to think about how we go about drainage and flood control. When I was sitting there, I was thinking about, William Goldston is the chairman of the Consulting Engineers Council here in South Texas. Basically represents all the consulting engineers, guys like me, Dan Leindecker, Jim Urban, et cetera. We have been talking about this internally in our group about drainage and the importance of flood control here. We dodged a bullet last year. Houston didn't dodge a bullet. That could have been us, and it would have been horrible. Maybe under Williams' group, we could form a working committee to help the court get where we think we need to go. And that may take some legislative action that allows us to create a drainage district.
Is it going to cost us any money? Is it going to cost us any money to form that group?
No, I think we have enough brain power within that committee that we can come up with some suggested solutions on a path forward, not detailed engineering plans. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the preparation of a funding mechanism that'll allow you to get some of this stuff done, separate and apart from grants. But again, the beauty behind a drainage district is they look at things comprehensive, and the agencies like FEMA like that. That's what they want to see. So I think Williams' group might be able to help the court move that ball.
I'll be glad to work with them.
Yeah, and I'll visit with William this afternoon when I get back. Just a thought.
How do we? That was my question. Do we have to have legislation to create a municipal drainage district? Are we not authorized?
That's the man right there.
For the county, we do?
County, yes.
The answer to that, we believe, is yes.
San Patricio went and got their own legislation when they did it in 1974?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so if it's a local bill, so I'm thinking through this, and we've got a legislative session coming up, if it's a local bill that we're asking simply for the ability to create a municipal drainage district, we would go to the legislature, file a local bill, and we would send a resolution to our legislators that said, we support legislation that would give us the opportunity to at least pursue it. Then we got to figure out how to pursue it, but we got to make that first step. So the timing on this is good. Thank you, Commissioner Vaughn, for putting this on the agenda, because obviously we're coming up on a legislative session, and it would seem like, boy, we better jump on that, or we're kind of out of luck for another 2 years. And again, this court has been the last governmental entity in the world to ever want to raise taxes. I think this is the most fiscally responsible body there is, but we got big problems that we've got no money to fix because we're so physically prudent and because we don't raise taxes very much or very often. So we've got to look at something, and I'm all for a combination of getting everybody in the room together, but as you and I kind of discussed, that could take a year. But if we can form our own and at least look at that, then that keeps it within the five of us to be able to either move forward or not.
One of the things that has to be analyzed in this whole problem solving is that there's drainage districts that have been created.
That's my next question.
So they have to be absolved, and that's where the problem has been, because for a local bill, they all have to be in agreement, and they're not.
So they have to to do a countywide one, they have to dissolve theirs?
Yes. Well, they don't have to dissolve theirs, but the thing is, in this conversation I've had with the judge is that, he tried this, 10 years or so, or a little bit more when he first came on board along the same time with John Michael. And so, in having these discussions, especially with District 2, because that's the biggest district, they're the most active, they're the ones dealing with the most tax dollars, because the other two districts that are in existence that we saw on the map, they are hardly non-existent. They operate by statutory requirements, but they don't have any real money or any real function or power. Drainage District 2 does. And that one is where we've seen a lot of coordination in conjunction of meetings and ideas over the last several months, and even within the last 2 years when I got on board with this. And so they'll tell you the same thing. Now, the good thing about that is, I think, and we're having a discussion that I've been having privately with some of these groups, because it is political. It is very much political. And you've had groups, you've had commissioners, you've had staff who do not want to lose their ability to have local control. And so the problem is that we have not been able to get any local bills, because you're right, it's as simple as that. But I think that now is the time If you look at the composition of the current commissioners there, especially in Drainage District 2, and look at their staff, I think that there is definitely a willingness. We've had several meetings with Senator Hinojosa's office, Representative Herero's office, because that's where this district is. And precinct-wise, it has a small sliver of Precinct 1. The majority of it's in my precinct, and then, of course, a portion in Precinct 2 as well, because that's water's starting up in Carolyn's precinct, working through mine, and then to Joe's. So we've all been there in these meetings, and I think that it is great timing that we're talking about this publicly, because I think that there is a chance to have this. I think we still need to have some discussion, because I think that can work with this group working on the side, kind of end around finding the data and the information for us, while we still work kind of on the political side to see, because you don't have to eliminate it, because they would have to dissolve it themselves. And so that's where you get into the issue. But if we say we're going to create a countywide district, then the constituents in that district may realize we're kind of being taxed twice, so let's go the county route rather than us pay it all, and we may actually have a reduction. So that's what we could see happen here. But
you don't have to dissolve it, or you?
Well, I mean, I'm sure it could be part of it. It could be part of it, but it's not a requirement.
You have to dissolve it, but they could come back and work with us in a certain way where, since they have all the knowledge on this drainage thing, I mean, we could work with them. And right now we have a group there that really wants to work with us, and they really wants to say, hey, let's see what we can do. We'll meet you halfway and see what we can work out. And I think if we're reasonable enough to be able to work with those, I think it'll happen. I mean, they just don't want to be left out completely. It's not. They want their jobs. They got jobs. That's their livelihood. And so I think in the long run, if we sit down and say, this is how we can do it, you be part of it.
And then and then the county would have to vote it in, right? I mean, this would just be the beginning of the mechanism. Then the county, we'd have to have an election. So this doesn't. So we're talking. This is going to take a long time anyway, because to get all this coordinated, to get the bill passed, to get an election had, and then to start collecting the money. I mean, if everything went perfectly, we're talking a couple of years before we can even really make any headway on this.
But we got to start somewhere.
No, right.
Start with the legislation.
That's my point. We got to get going.
Yeah.
This is the start now, and I've spoken with Senator Hinojosa personally twice already about this idea, and one of the things that he's all in favor of is finding some money that we can have just an initial study done, something very basic, and it will take at least 2 or more sessions to get this done. But if we can start something now to do some preliminary work, and then by 2021 have something in place that we can actually roll out and implement for the county, because this is going to be a long haul. And what he's really familiar with, and what I point to in the research I've done on it, is District 1 in Hidalgo County. We saw just last year they received $7 million from the state for their drainage district, because they're organized as one entity. It started off as one district, and it still maintains a District 1 name, but it's a countywide district. And so that's why we may even need to look at working within the groups that we have now. I think mainly District 2, because they're the most active and have the knowledge that we can build from that. But I agree too. I appreciate Commissioner Vaughn bringing this up, and I think it is timely and that we need to move forward on this. And she's very much been a big part, as soon as she got appointed, has very much been a big part of these meetings that we've been having. And she gets it. I mean, it impacts all of our districts. It can help Port A with their issues. It could help London, obviously, is a big one that we've talked about, but we know it's not really represented by a district. So something like this that can happen, that can help all of our county.
And right now, I think they're willing to go above and beyond what needs to be done. Drainage District 2, right now, we're working some major projects together. So, I mean, and their thing is, together we can work, we can make it work. So, and I think if we really come together, those 2 projects that we're working on will probably make a big difference in Petronila 1 and 2, and maybe hopefully Petronila number 5. But again, they're willing to meet us halfway on that, and willing to meet them halfway on that.
So what do we need to do to move this forward? Make a motion to
Judge, can you tell us, because, we've done a lot of talking over the years, and we do that a lot. So now's the time for action. And now's the time for us to get it before the legislative, and let's start moving on it. Judge, what's your recommendation?
Well, I liked what John said. I'd like to hear what the engineering group says. And John, I need to ask you a question. Did the city ever adopt a master drainage plan?
They've tried. You know the answer to that. They've tried several times, and we did not get there.
And let me tell you, commissioners,
Convoluted.
Let's get back to reality here. What happened is that we did all the study on taking the water to the city limits. And the city was supposed to adopt a citywide master drainage plan that coordinated with the master drainage plan from the rural areas through the city limits and took the water out of the county. They have not done this, and for whatever reason. And I will tell you what you're going to run into. I'm all in favor of studying this. 80% of the population of this county lives inside the city limits of Corpus Christi. When we made the proposal before to the then city manager and all the people on drainage, our proposal was to go back and look at their stormwater rates and give some credit on the stormwater rates to the people who lived inside the city of Corpus Christi to offset the tax that they were going to be asked to vote on. The tax in San Patricio County is 10 cents. I think it's 10 cents.
It's a little less than that now.
8 or 9 cents, whatever it is. In order to tax the people who live inside the city limits of Corpus Christi, they're going to have a master drainage plan. They're going to have a master drainage plan that coordinates with the county's master drainage plan. And we can build detention ponds all day long out in the county, and we can do all the really good things I want to do and I've been trying to do for 12 years. But every time we've taken this to the council, they've turned us down. And they've turned us down because it's, quote, a tax. Well, it is a tax, but it has to be all set with something that makes sense, and they have to come up with a citywide master drainage plan because we'll never make it work. As John said, the water doesn't stop at the city limits. And I'm willing to go the extra mile and start all this process over, and we've got great cooperation, and if we can get them to dissolve these other drainage districts out in the county, that's wonderful. But we'll never get 80% of the people in this county to vote for a new tax. I don't care what it is. And unless there is an offset, and unless they can see a plan. And I think you all were sort of involved, but they hired somebody else, and it never happened. So I'll meet with the guys. I'd like to meet with them. But I'm going to tell all of you right now, this is not going anywhere until the city of Corpus Christi and the city manager and the mayor and the council over there decide this is important. And for 12 years, they've not decided it's important. Every time it rains, they just push the water down the drain and hope it goes somewhere. And we'll make something work. And John, I want to meet with the group. But commissioners, you need to start working on these city council members over there to explain the importance of getting a city-wide master drainage plan for a drainage district.
I think they have a lot of the engineering done.
Yeah, and they've had it for 12 years.
Yeah, we've got plans, all kinds of plans sitting on track. It really is going to boil down to a comprehensive financing plan.
That's right.
I think Williams Group, we can collectively work with you, and Tyner's already teed up the legislation. I mean, I think all you got to do is go back to your old file and pull it up. We have a good framework to start with there. It's all done. And work with your public work staff. I think as a working group, we can come up with something that will be acceptable to everybody.
And I'm willing to lead that group for a while.
I mean, it's worth a try. We need to make an effort to do this.
But there's going to have to be some emphasis put on the council that this is important.
But everybody can't play ball.
Okay, so let me go back. You're telling me, though, with all due respect to our counterparts at the city, you're getting anything for that myriad has been a little difficult. That's why 4 of us are over here and we quit going over there. So you're telling we can't do anything without city cooperation? We couldn't create our own countywide district that doesn't include the city?
No, here's the issue. Judge hit it on the nose. You go to a vote of the people. Where do the majority of the people live? They live in the city of Corpus Christi city limits. So you need to get a buy-in from the citizens that live within the corporate limits of the city of Corpus Christi. And that buy-in needs to be how you address this countywide tax and where those monies go. And I'll give you a good example. In San Patricio County, they created a formula many, many years ago. They have 7 incorporated cities that they deal with within their countywide district. And so based on a population formula, they calculated how that tax would be distributed amongst the 7 incorporated cities as well as the 4 precincts that exist in that county. So that's a pretty good model. Corpus Christi is a little different because the majority of Oso Creek watershed starts way back on the north side of Robstown and just ends up in Corpus Christi. So, again, I think maybe just with a working group, we can come up with a strategy that makes it palatable for the people in Corpus Christi to want to say, yes, we need a countywide drainage district.
No, I hear what you're saying on that. I'm saying let's assume for sake of hypothetical argument that the city continues to not pass a drainage plan that they have to pass for us to move forward. There's nothing else we could do without the city's participation?
You could create a county-wide drainage district that does not include the city of Corpus Christi.
Well, I'm asking so that everybody knows what we're talking about.
You can do that. It will severely limit your financial ability to get some things done.
But it's better than what we got now.
But it's better than what you have now. That is an option. You can leave the existing drainage districts in place. That's an option. But if I lived in the drainage district drainage district number 2 and I'm paying 37 cents a hundred for a drainage tax, and you're telling me we could do the same thing for 10 cents or less, I'm all in.
No, but because what we're hearing today is cities never passed a master drainage plan.
They've never adopted one.
Never adopted
They
adopted
have the
one.
plans.
Right, never adopted one. We've heard from Commissioner Matas that we've got water districts that are very interested in working with us and from the other commissioners.
Good to hear.
So very good to hear. So to me, we should do whatever we can do our best to work with the other folks over at the city of Corpus Christi, but don't stop because they stop. Because we have a responsibility to the people that we have a responsibility to. And if the city wants to come on board, man, we're with you. If you don't, sorry, we're going to take care of the people that we can take care of. And I get it. It limits it. But if we have something, that's better than nothing. So I just don't want to stop and wait on the city if the city's not going to get on board as fast as we need them to get on board. If they do, great. That's a better deal. I get it. But that's why I'm asking. We could go forward on our own and completely do this on our own if we wanted to.
I believe there's interest with the city. I've talked to some of them. I believe there's interest. We have a city council person sitting in the audience. I hope she takes this back and puts it on the agenda for the next meeting. And nothing's impossible. We have got to start talking to them. We don't know, Brent, I understand what you're saying because there's a holdup over there sometime. But until we talk to them, we don't know exactly what they want to do. But they do need to adopt it. But we need them to be in on this. If we can get them, we need everybody.
100% agree.
Everybody.
I don't want to stop
I agree.
if we're faster and we're ready to go and they're not.
Forward.
And that's not being critical. That's just saying I don't think we should stop if the city doesn't want to get on board. If they do, and we hope they do, we pray they do, and I would think they would want to.
We agree with you, Commissioner, but the part of what John was saying is also we're going to clean out all our ditches. We're going to make all these things really nice.
I get it.
The water's going to hit Corpus, and it's going to slow, and we did all these things.
I get it. I get it. It's not ideal. I understand. I'm just saying, but doing nothing is not ideal either. So all I'm saying is option A ought to be exactly what Commissioner Vaughn and Matas and everybody talked about, get with the city and the water district. But if someone doesn't want to participate, I think we as a county have to do whatever we can do to protect our constituents because that's our job, and we hope like heck everybody gets on board. And again, I think the city will. I'm just wanting to make sure everybody's understanding that if they don't, then we do have other options.
We'll get together. All right, thank you all. Thanks, John, for being here.
Okay, so Judge, what are we going to do here?
We're going to move forward. I'm going to move forward with the engineering group.
Oh, he wants to talk? Do you have public comment? Did he have public? I think that was the item he was waiting on, Judge. Do you want a motion or anything?
Not yet.
Okay.
My name is James Parks.
Yes, sir. I'm sorry. I did not mean to.
I understand. It's a first for me, too. But my name is James Parks, and I live at 2906 County Road 14D, Petronilla, Texas. The people that put on the presentation before me brought out some very, very good points. I'm a little different in the aspect that I live there. We haven't received rain in 19 days, but I've been underwater for 17 days, still underwater this morning. I have reached out. Mr. Gonzalez met me at my neighborhood. We toured my neighborhood. He saw some of the instances of what's happening out there. In some instances, I feel like we're the forgotten people out there, and I'll explain to you why. I spent 2 days trying to figure out whose drainage district I belong to. Nobody wanted me. And in fact, I'm not in a drainage district. Neither is Tierra Grande. But I live miles from Tierra Grande. But on the news, all I hear is Tierra Grande. My father has 4 foot of water behind his home who lives directly across the street from me, and I pumped water last night, all night, just trying to get him where he can get out of his house. I walked through a foot of water to be here this morning. Mind you, 17 days. In 17 days, there's no telling what's in that water. We all know that. I understand the retention pond. Me and Mr. Gonzalez talked about the retention pond. We also talked about some other options out there. The retention pond system may work, but it's not going to work today. It's not going to work tomorrow. And then if we get some more rain in the next couple of days, I'll be more feet underwater. As a citizen of Petronilla, I attended a city meeting yesterday, well, actually Monday, and I asked for some help, and they didn't know what to do. Some phone calls were made, and they said I could come here and speak to you guys. The retention pond system is probably fine. My biggest concern right now, for the here and now, is let's take care of what's already there. Let's clean the drainage ditches out. Let's clean the ditch that me and Mr. Gonzalez looked at. That's supposed to go to Baffin Bay. Baffin Bay is not over full, far from it. The water is not making it there. We saw that firsthand. We have photos, we have videos. Firsthand, it's not there. There's drainage ditches in my area that have been filled in by farmers. There's a lot of things that could be done right now to help us as people in those areas. You want to do your retention ponds? Do them. Get your bonds, get your money, set them in motion, and get them done. But right now, let's clean out some of the ditches. Let's help everybody in the counties, in those rural counties. We went into town Sunday morning at 10:30. I had no water in my yard. When I came home at 3 o'clock, I had a foot of water. By 6 o'clock that evening, I had 3.5, almost 4 foot of water, and the sun was shining as we watched the water creep across. We did receive rain, but all of that water is runoff water from mainly District 2. And according to this map, and this is the newest map I can find, is 2012, this is Drainage District 2. And this is me. This is my neighborhood. All of that water from Drainage District 2 is being diverted to me, but not being taken out. And that's not right. You cannot divert the water to my neighborhood and not take it out of there, whether I'm in a drainage district or not. I was even told I belonged to the Bishop Drainage District, and the city of Bishop laughed at me. So all I'm saying is I think the countywide drainage district, like you guys are talking about, is probably a great idea down the line. I think the retention ponds are probably a great idea down the line. But I'm sure none of you guys walked to that water this morning to attend this meeting. I did that today, and I'll do that again tomorrow, and I'll probably do that again until Monday, till all the water is gone. So, as a citizen, that's all I'm asking. Let's take care of some of the things that can be done right now, and then you guys fight your political battles in time. But for now, like I said in the meetings at Precinct 2, we're not asking for a miracle. All we're asking for is a track hoe to clean some of those ditches out, not just in my area, in all of the low-lying areas. No one wants to speak up. Everyone's afraid, and that's why I'm here. So like I said, we're not asking for miracles. We just need a track hoe, clean some of the ditches out, build your retention ponds later. But for the here and now, let's do what we can. Thank you.
Thank you, James. You did that very well.
Mr. Parks, thank you for coming over here. And
I did not mean to ignore you while ago. I'm sorry.
Sir, believe me that as we talked about, I met with the Drainage District 2 again, and we're going to proceed on cleaning the drainage ditch that's there that goes down to the Precinct 2, Drainage District 2, drainage ditch in the back. which was only a third full. That was pretty empty.
We saw it.
Yeah.
There was a ton of capacity.
So it's going to be probably our first step we're going to do.
Can I ask a question, Judge?
Sure.
So is Drainage District 2 responsible for cleaning out his ditches? Is that what you're saying, and they are not cleaned out?
Well, they're not.
No.
No?
The water's coming from. It passes through that area, but you know what their problem is right now is the water from the fields. It's not the rainwater. It's problem from the fields that's going through that area.
But who's responsible for cleaning out the Drainage District?
Well, certain
county?
people are. Have that drainage ditch is half of it belongs to precinct 2 drainage district, and we're going to work on. I'm going to work together and clean that thing out.
They are working on it, Commissioner. The thing is that it sheet drains. What that means is the whole water, just like you saw on 73, that Robstown Park, where it was just like glass, that's what's happening. All that water is flowing through their neighborhood. It's coming from the north, going down 63, coming down that way, and it's just sheeting into the neighborhood. You could see the rain, like he was talking about. Day one, we went out there, rain's gone through, doesn't look like anything. Day 2, all of a sudden the fields in front of their neighborhoods are starting to fill up because now the water's coming from Robstown, from Petronila, from those areas, going down to Baffin Bay.
And I understand that, but the reason he is so right, they're so frustrated, and I don't blame them because, John, this is in your area too as mine. We kind of butt up against each other. Turf Farms is a prime example. The county has been awesome. They just complimented the county for cleaning out what they had. But if you go down from his road, the problem is in Robstown and the drainage district there, and they were not cleaned out.
That's that curved area that Commissioner, at that time, Commissioner Pusley wanted to straighten out that whole area, and that's part of the future plans as well.
So where he is in the city, in other words,
it's on the edge of the drainage district.
of the drainage district in what? Is it in the county? I'm sorry, not in the county. I know it's in the county. Is it in the city limits? Is it?
No.
So who should be responsible for cleaning out his portion of that area? I get where District 2 is, but is that?
The county, Juan, is the...
No, let me tell you something. Nobody has the money to clean it out.
No, I'm just trying to figure out whose it is.
Together, we can do it.
Right. No, I'm not.
And we come
That's
to
not
the
an
conclusion
excuse.
that if they dredge it, we'll help them clean it out.
Right. Okay, so it's...
So, it's again, we finally got a team effort where actually I said, look, if you guys are willing to dredge it out, we'll help you haul it, whatever comes out of that. So,
No, he's talking about that back part.
and I want to just make one point, that while we're talking about this, Judge, that a lot of these problems here are also created by the farmers. The farmers, when they plow, when they plant, they cover those ditches that we just dredged. And when they do that, water flows a lot faster. It doesn't stop, doesn't go through the drainage ditches. So, the farmers need to stop cutting up all their ditches that we dredged before this rains. And I think one of the farmers, according to Mr. Parks, one of the farmers even before the rain came, went up there and did a swale on his land so water could drain faster.
Maybe we need to have a conversation with the farmers.
So this is something that we need to look also how we're going to handle the farmers, so they can stay in their part of the land, So maybe we put a fine and fine the farmers too for going across.
Good luck.
We don't want to find those poor farmers. They don't make enough money.
They make all the money.
I know this sounds negative, but as soon as we drain the water from your land, we drain it onto someone else's land, and he sues us. And let me finish. And I have been involved in trying to get water out of that area of Nueces County for 12 years. And every time we clean one of those ditches, the water goes somewhere. And the problem is the ditches don't connect to anything. They just go down the street or go down the road or somewhere else to some other farmer's land, and they get the water. And I've been warned by my county attorney on more than one time that you can't just go out and clean a ditch and let the water start running, because whatever water you're letting flow is coming from somewhere on someone else's land. And when we do this, and I'll caution my commissioner friends, you're going to have to see where the water goes, because it doesn't just stop somewhere. And we want to help you, and we want to help everybody else, and that's the mission of what we're trying to do. But there are a lot of legal issues here. A lot of legal issues here. And I've been fighting those for now 12 years. And I think you all can clean his ditch and see where it goes. But as soon as that water leaves and gets on some of the farmers' land where it wasn't, here we go. But we'll do the best we can. I promise you, we'll do the best we can. The motion that we need to make is to go ahead and move forward with what John Michael suggested. And I'll be glad to work with this for longer than 3 months if you want me to. But let's see where we go with some kind of relationship with the city of Corpus Christi as well. Having a drainage district that stops at the city limits, while it sounds good, it creates tremendous problems. Tremendous problems, because all of a sudden you start flooding all those neighborhoods that are out there around Oso Creek inside the city limits of Corpus Christi, and then you've really got problems. So we'll work on it, promise you that, and we'll see where we go. But let me caution you, when you start cleaning out ditches, you need to see where that water's going to go, because it won't take 35 seconds before we get the phone call.
I make a motion we move forward with John Michael's suggestion with Goldston Group.
Okay.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed, same sign. All right, number 4, that's you too, Carolyn.
It is? Okay, hold on.
Yes, ma'am.
Edward.
Commissioner, so we went through and we got some pricing. We got the three different looks.
I like that.
This is essentially, that's the front entrance as you're going in through the center, and that's worth $3,981 to do that work. That's the exterior. That's the facing. It faces west. It's on the east side. It's on the west side of the building. It faces west as you're coming in from the parking lot. That main small parking lot area. That one. That sign is worth approximately, to install, $17,000, and that's lit. That's why it shows both in the daylight what it's going to look like and what it looks like in the darkness. Interiorly, that is the 4x12 sign. It's kind of it's got 2x2 aluminum construction. There's letters that are about 10 inches, and it'll be hung right there offset. That is approximately $6,500. These are actually the letters, what they will look like more like this. This is brushed aluminum. They would be a little bit thicker, and the LED, this is the whole reason this is the LED system that would be underneath it if we do go with the lighting option.
Yeah, you're saying the outside one is 17,000, the other one's 39,000?
No.
Why don't we go ahead and tell them what we're going to do, and that way it'll stop some of the discussion. Edward, thank you so much for the help. This was kind of thrown in my lap because at my first meeting this was decided, and it has come from like almost 100,000 to 60,000 now to this. I do agree that they need to be honored. They're a very integral part out there. And so I'm going to honor the request that Mike Pusley put in, but I'm not going to do all of those signs. I just don't think that's prudent for a county to do that. So I'm going to recommend that we do Edward, the first one that you've got on the picture there for $3,981. That's a great big savings for us. We don't have the money to do things like that extravagant. I don't think we should ever be doing that. And then a plaque that would probably cost from $250 to $500. So that's my recommendation.
Okay.
Is that a motion?
Is that a motion?
It is.
All right. We have a second to that. I think this will be very attractive if it's done very well. You're talking about the plaque inside, somewhere inside, the bronze plaque. Good, good. All in favor? Aye, both same sign. Thank you.
Good job.
Good job, guys. That's going to be very well done and very well received, I know. Very, very good. Thank you. Number 5, we each got a letter from the sheriff dated October 2nd, where he is retiring. Part of the requirement is that he had to formally tell us that he's retiring, and he wrote the letter and has done that. He's retiring as of October 31st. My suggestion to the court, and I'll open this up for discussion, my suggestion to the court is that we today open the position up and formally open the position for sheriff up and ask for anyone who is interested in applying to be Nueces County Sheriff, submit a letter saying I'd like to be sheriff and a resume to the court, and that we leave this open until Monday what day?
October 15th.
October 15th, which is basically 10 days, 12 days.
Yes, so that'll be a couple days before the next court meeting.
Right, and allow us to accumulate these letters and resumes where we in executive session on the 17th?
17th.
On the 17th can go into executive session and decide if we want to interview someone, who we want to interview, and how we need to do this in order that we can move forward. We have one more meeting this year on the 31st. Is that
Yes,
correct?
that's correct.
So that would allow us to go through the interview process from that Wednesday until we make a determination of if we are to appoint someone to fill the unexpired term of Sheriff Kalin, and we could do that on the 31st, correct?
Yes.
Now, that would give us roughly a month to make all this happen, about 14 days of notification. Tyner can get that out quickly.
Okay.
Get the request in from anyone who wants to be. We'll review those in executive session, decide who we want to interview or not interview, and then move forward to where we can name a sheriff on the 31st.
Judge, I think that your original plan was to, if this is allowed, I think you were going to go ahead and interview and appoint on the 17th.
Well, it's up to the court. I can do either one. If you all want to try to interview and appoint on the 17th, we can certainly set that date if you all want to do that. I'm just giving you some options, and I'd love to have feedback.
On October 17th?
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't want to interview and then wait for 2 weeks.
By the way, if you did appoint on the 17th, we could have the officials' bond ready for approval on the 31st, so they could take office immediately. Just
It's up to you. It's up to this court. I'll be completely honest with you.
Can I get some clarification on this? So, from the day that the sheriff announced his resignation, I know most or all of us have started receiving letters of interest and resumes. Do those count, or
Sure.
anything
No,
beginning
no.
today? And also another question for clarity for everyone. I don't want to have to be responsible for screening people who may only individually contact me and maybe not the rest of the court. Do we have a go-to person? Does it go directly to the judge? Does it go to Julie?
HR.
So it's going to go to HR.
Yes.
So anyone we receive, then we should notify them that they should send it to HR, and that just because they think they sent it to us, that is good.
That is correct. Tyner's actually going to have a press release that's going to go out today, and it will give those instructions that a letter of interest and resume should be submitted directly to HR, and it does give the address of Human Resources as well as an email address to submit those to.
Okay, so that's good, because I didn't know what our process was going to be, but on the ones I had been contacted, I said, thank you for your interest, but once a formal process has been laid out, please follow that, because I don't want them to think for one second that by them sending a letter last week, that counts, because it doesn't.
Right. So you guys are going to vote on the process today, set the process today. This is the suggestion, and then if that's what you agree on, then those will be submitted directly to HR.
So we will screen these on the 17th.
Right. It'll close on the 15th at 5 o'clock, and then the 17th is the next court meeting, and if that's what the court chooses, then yes, it will be on, for an agenda item on the 17th.
So we're just going to screen and discuss in closed session, but So that's going to be the process. We're going to do all of that in closed session.
Yes.
Yes.
But then on the,
I just think,
I'd like a more open
I just-
process. I think we need to do it
Yeah, I
open
just think
and
that
not
the
in closed
15
session, but
15
something that y'all have done on the
Can you do-
council.
Can you do that?
15 the
Is that
deadline?
allowed?
That's the recommendation at this time, that the 15th would be the
Then we
deadline.
Vote on the 17th. I think we don't, we need more time to review all those applications. And, we have 15, 20 applications. 2 days, to me, the 31st sounds a lot better. I need, time to review them and see what's on those applications, but.
but I'm conscious of the bond, so I wouldn't mind having a special meeting if we needed to. If we wanted to do it on the 15th and then kind of see what we got in, started talking about it on the 17th and then had another meeting like the week later, then that would still hopefully get them to, because we've got to have a bond in place, right?
Oh, yeah.
And so, and when the sheriff leaves, the sheriff leaves.
There's certain things that they have to.
But he's leaving on the 31st, so
We
we,
have to have a sheriff on the 31st?
on the 1st.
No, they can be.
There can be a vacancy. There's not a rush is what.
There's a lot of
No,
brass.
no, wait. There can be a vacancy?
There can be a gap, right?
Today, there's a vacancy. You received it. If you accept the resignation, that's the vacancy.
No, wait. He's saying he's
It goes to the 31st.
not till the 31st.
To the 31st.
Oh, I'm sorry. No, but this creates a vacancy still, though. But they don't take office until there's certain requirements that have to be done after you select.
But you can't not have a sheriff on November 1st.
Yeah, why not?
You can have one November 1st.
No, but you can't not have a sheriff once the sheriff vacates the office.
Of course you can. What if, God forbid, somebody died? It would be a vacancy.
The chief deputy take over
Yeah.
at that point. So, it's not like, there's not going to be a sheriff
You've
there.
got a chief and 5 captains and 5 lieutenants.
Okay, well, what I'm saying is I'm good with doing it on the 15th and the 17th, but if we need to go back to the 24th so that we can have a bond, because I don't want to not have a sheriff on the if the sheriff was telling us he's telling he's out of here, so I don't want to not have a sheriff on no.
You can have, on October 31st, the actual bonds. That's what Tyner was trying to say. If you make a decision on the 15th, then he can work on all of that and getting that ready for the 31st.
Right. So
And he takes office the next day.
I agree with you, Brent. I think we have to have a sheriff, so I think we have enough time in the 2-week period to get one. But I think we need to do the process correctly so that we're all comfortable with the process. But I think we do need to have a sheriff by October 31st.
Yeah, I'm flexible on the process. I just want to have a sheriff in place the day that Kalen leaves. That's all I'm asking. So if you guys don't want to do it on the 17th and you want to push
I'll
back,
just weigh in that I don't think it's a necessity. The sheriff has been out a lot already on leave throughout this last year or two. It's not like he's been in the office every day, so it's by name only that it makes you feel happy, then I guess that's okay, but we don't need a sheriff. God forbid if the sheriff, or whoever the sheriff is, passes away, that creates a void. So you're going to be, even for a few weeks or a few days until we appoint someone, without a sheriff. So we don't have to have this need to have the sheriff in place, not to have a gap for one day. I'm worried that we're going to have a great interest, which is a good thing. I hope that we have a lot of interest in this, but I don't think we need to rush to it. I think if it.
I feel.
But technically speaking, if he's already, you haven't selected somebody.
Right.
There's still that holdover provision. So even though he's not there, he's still there. He still gets paid until the appointment is effective and takes office. So,
So even if we do it the 31st, he's still getting paid because it's a holdover.
Right.
Just like we did here with the commissioner here.
right? So, so to me, we've got plenty of time between now and the end of the month to get it done.
Right.
I respect your opinion. I just disagree, John. I think we need to have a sheriff in place when this guy wants to leave, and that's all I'm saying is, and I think a month is a lot of time to get this done in. It's plenty of time, so I'm happy with doing like.
No, I agree. A month is, but 2 days that we will get.
Oh, I just said I'm happy to push it back a week, like do it the 24th, and that way we could get a bond in place to where we could have a bond and the person's ready to go on the 31st, because if we appoint someone on the 31st, then we can't have a bond in place.
Get another meeting, give us
Yeah.
some more gap.
Yeah.
I'm good with that.
Yeah, 24th or something like that. That's all. I'm fine with that.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah, and that would still give you some time to get. I throw the 24th out. I don't know if that's the right day. I'm saying because the 17th, so that's a Wednesday. Let's look. I guess we need to.
Everybody else runs the department anyway. The sheriff is just.
All right, so we're going to open it today publicly announce that it's open, ask for resumes and a letter sent to HR. And we're going to close at 5 o'clock on Monday, the 15th.
And I would ask that it be the 25th. I apologize. I just looked at my schedule.
You want to close on the 25th?
No, my apologies. I would ask that we have the special meeting on the 25th.
Let's see, if we close on the 15th.
Take my calendar.
Yeah.
Julie?
We can do it on the 17th. I don't care. Sure, that's fine too. I mean, there's not going to be a problem getting the word out on this.
Yeah, Cheryl.
That's true.
That's fine. That'd be great to have
That'd
it
be
over
great.
the weekend. Close it on the 12th.
Okay,
That'd be great.
that's fine.
Close it on the 11th.
Let me tell you, everybody who's interested in this is going to
Well-
get something in a hurry.
They are.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, they're going to get a letter to us today, and that's fine. Okay. Okay, so tell us again, we're going to close the applicant process on Monday,
Thursday, the 11th,
all right?
5 p.m.
Thursday, the 11th. Okay. Thursday, the 11th,
Well, if that's, well,
5 p.m.,
we're going to close it early.
all
If we
right?
close it at Thursday at 5 p.m., that'll allow us to gather them all together and make you a list and send those over to you on Friday, so y'all
That'd
can
be
have
good.
them over the weekend.
That'd be good. That'd be good.
And then theoretically, right, then I guess
Okay, we're good.
theoretically we could do it on the 17th if we're going to do that. I'm good. And I would ask that if we're going to move it back a week, then we move it to the 25th because I'm out of town the first 3 days.
Let's see how we go. And
If everybody can do it on the 17th.
On the
I'm fine,
17th,
too.
y'all can have them and make a decision on the 17th if y'all like.
of either
October
deciding
17th.
or moving that date again.
Right, we could go ahead and put it on the agenda, and then if you need to table
Sure,
it.
that'd be fine.
And I'm certainly fine with having interviews in front of everybody if that's allowed.
I don't care either.
That's what I heard somebody wanted to do.
Yeah, we need to.
I only said something about being executive session because if
Right.
you look at
Personnel.
25 applications, the court may say, let's narrow this to 5 or something like that.
The personnel rules say that,
Yeah.
on the personal matters, you go in executive, but you can decide not to do that.
Well, no, I think what the city council did, I think that time was they did
It was
eliminate.
really good.
You eliminated down to 4,
Eliminated it.
and then you had interviews with your top 4 or 5 or whatever it was. I like
really
that. I
well.
thought that was very transparent.
All right,
Thank
we'll
you.
open
Do that.
today, close at 5 o'clock on Thursday, the 11th. You'll prepare all the packets for us to look at. So when we come to the Wednesday meeting of that week, we can go into executive session and make a decision on how we handle the rest of it, right?
Do y'all want to narrow it down and y'all send me y'all's top picks as to who y'all?
Would like to see?
That's a good way to, that's
I
fine.
think
We've done that with everything
send
else.
you the top 5.
Top 5?
Each of y'all send me the top 5 and how many
Our top
y'all
5
want
picks.
to?
That's a top
Are y'all
5.
going to interview or?
We will interview.
Okay.
And it may very well be from the 5 of us, you get 3 people that get 5 votes to be interviewed. So,
How about y'all send me the top 3 and
top 3.
and y'all interview maybe 10? I think we've done that with other positions.
That'll be fine.
Interview
Up to
10?
10. Up to 10.
Well,
I think
Or you give me a number. You give me a number as to how many y'all want to interview.
I'd say up to 5.
top 5.
Ten's a lot.
God, yeah, we'll be here for the rest of our lives.
Let's do 5.
3 or 5, yeah.
so do we give you,
Give me your top 3 picks, and of those top 3 picks, I'll narrow it down to 5 people.
That'd be
If
good.
there's
However you-
overlap, of course, there
That'd be good.
probably will be.
All right. Okay, we good?
I'd like to see top 5.
I do too.
I mean, 5 picks. If we give you 5 picks, that we get 5 picks. It doesn't mean that our picks are going to be there, but
I'm good with that.
I think we're going to have a lot of interest, like the judge said, and I think that would just.
You're just going to have to figure out how to do that matrix. That's going to be harder for you.
That's what I'm going to
It's gonna
say.
be
If
harder
y'all
for
each
Julie.
give me 5, I may end up with 25 different people to give you if it's only one person per, one vote per person.
No, I doubt that.
Doubt it.
No,
I doubt
Okay.
4? What do you got, 4, John? Or I'm just trying. I don't care. 5's fine with me, but if it's hard for Julie, it sounds like. To
I would
me.
like 3 picks from each of you, and y'all interview 5.
That's her suggestion, but you want to go 4? I'm just trying to help her out. I don't care. I really don't. Whatever you want. I mean,
Top 3 picks.
I don't.
Okay.
Interview 5.
Each person send me 3.
Yeah.
That's what we've done before, but I
Right.
don't care. I
I'd
really
like
don't.
I would like at least, if we could do 4, I'd be happy
That's
with
fine.
that. I mean,
That's
just,
Me too.
just
Okay.
4 would be a good number.
That's fine.
Mention 4. And
That makes you happy. I'm fine with that.
Do
Okay,
4.
send me 4, and then I'll send y'all the top 5 picks, I guess.
That'd be good.
Well, yeah. And I guess the question there is, if there's a huge gap between 4 and 5, then you need to kind of tell us that too. Because with, I don't know how it's a hard matrix to do. Yeah, right. If it's close gap, then right. So, okay. So then, when would we need to give you we would get the applications on Friday. We would give you our picks by Monday because that would give us the weekend, right?
Right.
And then you would have it down to the top 5 for us to interview on that Wednesday the 17th in public, right, John? That's what you guys want to do, yeah?
Yeah.
Well, I think
That's
that
Everybody okay with that?
Sure.
would be a good
You going to interview
idea.
in public, or you going to interview?
Yeah, I wasn't going to interview in public, in private. I simply wanted
No
to
interview in
figure out how
public?
to get to where we want to interview. But 5's fine, public's fine, we're good.
And I think the way that the city did it, they just lined all 4 of them up. I think it was 4 for y'all.
Yeah.
They just lined all 4 of them up, and everybody asked questions, and
What we did, and it worked really well.
All right. So 5 and 6 we've just taken care of, but what kind of motion do I need? What we just discussed is the motion.
well, I think
Motion to accept the sheriff's resignation, is that what we need to accept? So motion?
second.
All right. Is there a motion to accept his retirement?
Yes.
Is that your motion, John?
Yes, sir.
Is that your second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, pose same sign. All right. The second motion needs to be that we just discuss the process, and that's the motion.
So the applications
I
would,
move that we, each one of us select 4, send it to
HR.
HR, and that she'll give you the top 5
All right.
from there,
and that's,
And it'll close at 11 o'clock, close at 5 o'clock on the 11th.
the 11th.
and then we have to get you by Monday at, say, 5
o'clock.
p.m., and then Wednesday the 17th, we'll interview the 5 people.
That'd be good.
Just needs to be updated.
Correct. I'll update it.
He'll change that. We good?
Okay.
If y'all can do Monday, give me your top picks by Monday at 12.
I will. That's fine.
That
Yeah.
way y'all can know who the top 5 are.
We'll
I
do
can
that.
prepare those by Monday afternoon.
We'll do that.
I'll send them to you Sunday night probably, so.
Oh, okay.
All right, good.
That works.
That's my motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Pose same sign. Did you get the motion, Kara? I did. Thank you very much. Okay, we're off and running.
Good job.
Thank you.
That
Auditor?
motion, you've earned your job today. You've earned your keep.
Thank you, Your Honor. We have several items for your consideration. The first one is budget change order number 24 for our prior fiscal year 17-18. We should be coming to the end of those before too long, since we're at the end of the year. The largest one you'll see is on page 2, where the medical examiner is requiring some significant changes due to some of his lab work and other items that he has to do for doing the autopsies for outside entities. The money's coming from 1285, which is our contingency. Excuse me. On page 3, we see that the Inland Parks is also doing a little bit of building maintenance that they unforeseen expenses, and so they're doing some expense transfers. These all meet the requirements that we set for the budget requirements. The funds are there for the adjustments, and submit this for your approval.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion at first, second by Commissioner Modis. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
There you go.
Thinking, that was
Look at me, go, what's that? Missing a 6'8" guy.
The next item, if it'd be okay, I would like to combine item 2 and item 5 because they both go together. Item 2 is a budget changer for this current fiscal year we're in. As was brought to our attention last Commissioner's Court, the district judges would like to convert our magistrate court back to the way it was before the adopted budget. So we provide the information available to meet the requirements that there are no emergency situation and we do not increase the budget. We're doing budget change order number 1, which shows you because the reclassification does increase the salaries slightly, we're offsetting those with the cuts on some other balances. So I submit option number 1, budget change order number 1 for your approval. And with that, on item number 5, we're reclassifying the magistrate court back to how it is currently in a situation where we have 2 part-time magistrate court judges that work 25 hours per week, and any other adjustments that were made in the new budget we're sending it back to the way it currently is.
Yeah, motion.
So moved.
Second.
Yeah, have a discussion. I got something to say. I just want to clarify something here. Dale, on this, the difference here is $6,742, right?
Yes.
Okay, now that money is coming from within, so it's not, we're not paying anything into it this time, right?
Correct.
It's come from professional services and special.
We're reducing special services, visiting judges, and travel expense to offset the increase in cost.
Okay, so what's going to happen next year? Do we get it from the same place? Or
Next year, when we bring this forward, I believe we'll talk with the district judges and the county court law judges to see if there is any modification to the magistrate court. But if not, it would stay the way it is currently as is.
Okay, but where is the 6,000 coming from next year?
Well, next year, there won't be additional cost because this additional cost will then be absorbed into the salaries, and then we'll have the balances of the budgets that we've already reduced at those reduced levels. And then should there be a requirement of adding additional costs, they'll be up for the court to approve.
The 6,000 is going to stay there, in other words?
Yes.
So regularly it's going to be general funds that we pay for it?
Correct. And like I said, we were reducing the other expenses, and we probably will see those other expenses
this year
keep reduced until.
This year we are, but
Yes.
next year we're not.
Well, next year we'll keep them at the lower level. What we're moving them now, we'll reduce them now for next year. So if they want more, they'll have to come for y'all for approval. So there will be no additional cost unless they bring that additional cost to you.
Okay. Any other discussion? Okay, all in favor of the.
Where are we, on one still or two?
We combined 2 and 5, Your Honor.
What?
We combined item 2 and 5.
Okay, is there a motion? So moved. Is there a second?
There's one on the floor already.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, pose same sign. Thank you.
During our review of item number 3, there was a calculation error, so I'm asking that item be tabled.
Move to table 3. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, pose same sign. Thank you.
The last item is for your review is the monthly financial report for July of 2018. It's a very thick report. I'll try to go through it relatively quickly to hit a few spots of importance. On page 4 is where you'll see our balance sheet items for our general fund, debt service fund, and other funds that we see. As we see, our assets of $41 million for the general fund, our liabilities of $8.5 million as liabilities, and our current fund balance is $32.6 million. But we still have 2 more months of this fiscal year to go by, and we know our expenses are right at about $10 million a month. So we expect that fund balance to go down to about where we're expecting at our budget items to be about $18 million, which is about where we projected the numbers to be. The item of importance that we want to show you is on our page 10, which is our self-insurance funds, which is our workers' comp, our general liability, and our group health. The prior 4 or 5 years, we've been having a difficulty with our group health with very large expenses not being overcome by the amount of revenue we have coming in. However, this year, as you see, we've turned the corner, and we hope that corner is now come into a straight line where we can continue this process. Because as you see right now, we have a $1.5 million fund balance in the group health, which is extraordinary. And we expect that with looking at the expenses we've seen coming in from the month we're in now, I expect this to be right about $1 million when the whole year clears out, when we do all our adjustment entries and working with our consultants. So that's very promising, and hopefully we continue that. We did increase a little bit on our premiums with our budget, so we, if the expenses and the revenues hold next year, we expect that to be higher, which is very, very promising. As you go through the whole process, we have our budget revenue, budget expense on page 16. This is where we show our balances between the difference between 17 and 18 and where we're at. Pardon. As you can see, for our revenue, we're at 96% collections. For the end of the year, September, we're projecting to be right at about 100% to 101%. So that's very promising. Our expenses are later on that shows you where we should be ending up about 91, 92%, which we're normally at 94, which is very good. As we go through all the rest of the process, we're going through our budgeting cycles of our departments. There was only 1 or 2 departments that showed a negative position on their budget, and that's on page 51. You'll see page 51 as we expect county court law, because of the function, we're trying to improve that next year. We've increased a little bit of their expenses, and not the complete amount of what they need, but getting closer to where they should be. Now, legal aid is a little bit strange animal because we pay the rent all at one sump, so it seems like a negative position, but it's really not. The rest of the balances are right about where we expect them to be or where we need to be. I did not see any other negative positions. We're doing very well on our expenses, and we hopefully at the end of the fiscal year, which was we were just doing now, and we should be doing our adjustments, that we should come out about where we expected to be on our budget, and hopefully on the plus side of what we have. We'll have those numbers to you probably in the next month or two. We'll have you a preliminary number of where we are on September balances. I project that we should be where our budgeting numbers are. There's a lot of schedule in here for our PCARs and other items that we have. I'd be glad to answer any questions you might have. Otherwise, I'll submit the monthly financial report for July for your approval.
Questions? Need a motion.
So moved.
Is there a second? Second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed, same sign. Thank you very much, Dale. Your staff continues to do a very good job in keeping the court informed of where we are financially. Commissioners Court may go into executive session at any time for items posted on the agenda. We will now go into executive session under Vernon's Texas Code, Section 551, 071, 072, 073, 074, 0745, 076, 086, 087. We'll go into executive session at 12 o'clock. Mic is off. Okay, we're going to go back into regular session at 12:30. Is that 12:30?
Yeah.
American time, Central time?
5 o'clock somewhere.
Somewhere, you bet. All right, I'm going to go back to the agenda item, regular agenda item number 2. Is it 2A? Where is it? 2. A2. Move to table. Is there a second?
Second.
Did I get a second?
Yes, sir.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed, same sign. I'm going to talk in generalities because we have some time here that we have to meet. The Commissioners Court is going to open up the process for looking again at the old courthouse. As most people know, we had a disappointment with the people who were originally scheduled to do something. And so the court, working with the county attorney and others, is going to go to a sealed bid process. And we are going to ask for proposals on the, is it the 17th?
On the 17th, we're going to have an agenda item to take action to put it out in the newspaper and start.
But the process is going to be that we're going to entertain proposals from anyone who thinks they have the money to do it, to go down 2 different tracks. One, entertain a proposal to rehabilitate the old courthouse. And number 2, entertain proposals to, if someone wants to buy the property and tear down the old courthouse, we would like to have proposals along that way, knowing full well that in order to make that work, the covenant is going to have to be removed by the Texas Historical Commission. And we will be working with our legislative group on what we would need to do if that's the option. What the court would like to know is if there's really somebody out there who wants to buy the old courthouse in some way and benefit the citizens of Nueces County and rehabilitate that for whatever use, we'd like to have that proposal. This time there better be some money attached to it. The second proposal would be if someone would like to buy the property, tear down the old courthouse, knowing full well that in order to tear down the courthouse, we're going to have to get that covenant removed in order to do that, and work with the Texas Historical Commission. You're going to see the court formally do that on the 17th.
Yes.
But I'm giving everybody notice right now that once we open this up, we want to try to bring this to a conclusion to the court by the 31st day of October. So we're going to move very quickly on this, we hope. There are some times that you have to post this so many days and so many days when we're using the sealed bid method.
Right.
So that's what we're going to do. We'll formalize that on the 17th. This gives anybody who's interested to know exactly where they are and what's going to happen. And we would like to proceed along those lines. And I don't know that it takes a motion or anything to do that because
we're going to bring it back on the 17th.
You'll bring it back on the
For action,
17th.
yes.
Commissioners, are we good? Are we okay?
Yes.
Okay? All right.
Was the 17th, we'll have the appraisal by that time?
Yes, we will. We've ordered a brand-new appraisal, and we'll have it on the 15th. We'll have that on the 15th. Okay? 6A, we've done for a week. We tabled for a week, right? 6A's done. Tabled, right? Good? All right. I don't have anything else on my agenda. Now, Belinda, on behalf of this court, I want you to know that I and the members of this court share with your family the loss of your mother. Those of us who've lived long enough have lost a mother. And we know how tough this is, and we know how difficult it is when families have this happen. And I know your mom, you told us this morning, was 88. She had lived a fabulous life, probably not ready to quit living that life, but however, she had that great life. Her name was Consuelo Hinojosa, and we want you to know on behalf of all of us that we share your concerns. We share the loss of your mom, and we share the sorrow in your family, and we wish you the very, very best. And if there's anybody else here who'd like to talk to Belinda, we're open to let you do that. But that's where we are. And also, I think we had a loss of a father in the auditing department, Francisco Salinas.
Francisco Salinas, yes, sir. My accounts payables person is Francesca. We call her Franny. Her father passed away yesterday, or day before, after a very long illness. And this wasn't their first loss. A few months ago, she lost one of her father-in-law, passed away as well. So their family's gone through a lot of loss, and we, my staff and I are trying to do what we can to support her and her family and do what we can for her family.
Good deal. Thank you. Brent, anybody? Joe, anybody?
Yes, I have. Also, Alicia Norma Greer passed away on September 13th, 2018, at the age of 75, and was a resident of Corpus Christi, very much involved in the church, and worked for the city of Corpus Christi, where she retired. Robert Garcia, brother of Maria Beta, one of our county employees with the grants department, and passed away on September the 18th. Mr. Garcia worked for the city of Corpus Christi for 17 years. Santa Gonzalez Peña passed away on September 19th at the age of 82. Ms. Peña was a Robstown graduate, lived most of her life in Robstown, then moved to Corpus Christi area. She also will be missed by her family. Dolores Perales passed away on September 21st at the age of 93. Mrs. Perales was a longtime resident of Robstown, and also her family will miss her, and our prayers goes to the family. And I already talked to Belinda, and again, my condolences and my prayers to you and your family, Belinda.
Judge, if I could too add to Belinda and her family, we're very sorry for her loss, as well as the family of Santa Peña, who is her daughter is a very good friend of mine as well, and I appreciate Commissioner Gonzalez bringing those up as well.
John?
Thank you, Judge. Of course, to Belinda and your family. Been praying for y'all, and so can't imagine. So just been thinking about you a lot lately. Thanks, Commissioner Gonzalez, for mentioning Ms. Perales. Also, Nancy Salinas from Robstown, and San Juana Janie Peña passed away just last week, and she was only 56. Her family is a very large and active family in the Banquete area, and her daughter actually serves on the school board. One of her daughters serves on the school board, and so when you go into Banquete, you know the Peña family. They're just very involved, and so she had a very long and difficult battle with cancer, and so she finally succumbed to that just about a week ago. So my thoughts and prayers are with them as well.
I think, Carolyn, let's stand for a moment. See you on the 17th. Night is all. Night is all.